Hello, today's topic will be about javelin throw. This is one of the throwing events. You can find a top class javelin thrower among other throwers like discus, shot put, and hammer throwers. Javelin throwers are smaller, little smaller. Of course, there are taller and heavier throwers, but this is a linear velocity related throwing event, and the weight of the implement is hardly 600 grams for women and 800 grams for men. So you don't need a very huge 120 or 130 kilos weight is not required, and they are a little lighter among the throwers. They look more like a decathlete. So they are very fast and they are very flexible in all the joints of the body. The world record is almost touching 100 meters, 96.96 I suppose, by a Czech athlete. And recently there may be a better performances also. I must go check about it. So elite javelin throwing, anything above 80 meters can be listed into elite javelin throwing. So there are certain basic fundamentals and rules connected with this. I mean training rules, not the competition rules. Like the first training rule I would say is, during your training and during even preliminary level competitions like at your state level, national level, and if you are international class man, and you have to avoid exerting maximum with your throws until it is very important and the competition is so keen. Try to go with a moderate whip of your body. Actually what is required is a kind of a catapulting action involving whip, kind of a whip, 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 a whiplash action like this, whiplash action. So this action involving all the joints, starting from your toe up to the neck, then up to the transmitted through the shoulders, elbow, and to the wrist and your phalangeal joints or finger joints. So you know a bow and arrow action is done by your body, like every time you pull it, release it, pull it, release it. So there is a very high chance of getting into muscle strain or kind of muscle tear and such things, especially in the hip region, abdominal region, lower abdominal region, shoulder region, and rib. Rib means intercostal muscles in between the ribs. All these places, elbow, there is one process situation called like tennis elbow, javelin elbow is there, because they try to give more emphasis on the arm alone. So an athlete who is capable of performing anything beyond 75 meters, 80 meters must be very good at this technique. So the first prime requirement for a javelin thrower is you should be able to carry the javelin and run for 35 meters or 30 to 35 meters, and in a progressive velocity to every progressive steps up to the point of release, without reducing leg speed, without reducing the speed of its travel of the center of gravity, without reducing the speed of travel of the javelin. The javelin will be withdrawn from the shoulder level to much below the almost below the hip level for the full whip of the range of movement. So the velocity of your body as well as the velocity of the javelin should go in congruence. This is a biomechanical aspects of a javelin throw. So you run and you take that cross step, or some coaches call it a side step, without hampering this velocity. This requires a lot of flexibility and suppleness of your all the joints, and you will have to do several repetitions in performing this action. A successful thrower will be able to convert his running velocity, or he will be able to convert all his running velocity into the throwing distance. That is the success of a thrower. There isn't much, it's just an overhead throw, just like a stone is thrown for a longer distance. So what is required is you should be able to do it without reducing the velocity while maneuvering the action. So the very important aspect in this is you have to protect yourself without getting injury. Getting injuries are very, very easy, and suddenly it will come. If your mind and your body and should be very ready, perfectly ready for the action, and you always perform little sub-maximal capability so that your muscles are not strained, your joints are not strained. So who is an elite javelin thrower? Elite javelin thrower, just like any other events, one must be able to perform his maximum for an increased level of competition. One who can cross beyond 80 meters, we can call him as a elite javelin thrower. 85 meters. Now there are few Indians also going to that level. So suppose you wanted to improve an 80-meter javelin thrower much further, you need certain optic devices involving the assessment of his running speed over the run up, and the speed of center of gravity of javelin's travel, speed of travel. So usually while performing the maneuver of side steps or the cross steps for preparing for a throw, the javelin velocity will get reduced. This we can very easily assess and modify your easily doing it because of his lack of flexibility in certain joints, because of a wrong more emphasis on his side step, or because of wrong perception or wrong kinesthetic sense of javelin, or this grip, or any other such factors can be assessed, and it needs a bit of scientific analysis. Another aspect is the aerodynamic factor involving lift and drag. So this is a principle where every aircraft, using this only, every aircraft is flying in the sky, like the lift is the power, the thrust given by the engine to take the aircraft up. In javelin also, the force applied by the javelin thrower is called lift, and the drag means the weight of the implement is affected. It is acting upon the center of gravity, is acting upon the weight of the pulling it down. So in between it gets into a trajectory. Trajectory means the parabola, the path of travel of the javelin. So you will be able to stay. It will be able to stay in the air for a longer distance. Long back it has come distance-rated javelins. Javelin is a metallic sphere made of some alloy metal, involving tapering end as well as the head of tip of the javelin. And every material has a center of gravity. The center of gravity is a point in which the active weight of the implement is been resting upon. Javelin, you have one more point, is called aero-dynamic center of gravity. Aero-dynamic center of gravity. So if a javelin, for example, is released in the air at the height of 50 feet or 60 feet, just kept flat and released, it won't fall down just like that. Just like a paper, if it is released at the height of 40 feet or 50 feet, a piece of paper, it will balance, it will go kind of like that. That is because of the wind, because of the lift and drag, because of the shape of the. Likewise, javelin has got a shape, and it acts with the wind velocity, and it acts with the wind, and it gets lifted up. So there is one more point, is called center of gravity, aerodynamic center of gravity. Center of gravity, active weight of the javelin will rest upon, whereas aerodynamic center of gravity most likely will be little ahead towards the tip of the javelin. Its It is javelins are designed to have an aerodynamic, because they are manufactured and tested in a tunnel where vacuum tunnel, and it's an expensive business, and it's an expensive process, scientific process. So javelin which is rated 60 to 70 meters or 70 to 80 meters, 80 to 90 meters, you require, and you have to train yourself for that, then only it will stay in the air that long and you will get the distance. After reaching a certain height and velocity, it will help itself to go to that level. So mode of preparation of a javelin thrower, or a quality called elastic strength or explosive strength. For example, you can say a good triple jumper should have elastic strength in his lower extremities. A good long jumper also should have elastic strength. A triple jumper was both the legs. So some aspects of triple jumping techniques. So his powerful legs may also require for a javelin thrower a similar quality as far as lower extremity is concerned. The upper extremity also, it should be, especially shoulders. And my best advice for an elite javelin thrower is that don't use any of your single joints like shoulders or your elbow to increase the speed of the javelin. Use your total body as a total body as a one unit to generate velocity for the javelin or generate force for the javelin. That is my advice. So it requires a lot of ballistic skills. Ballistic skills means, like, an individual must be able to go off the ground and throw an object using medicine balls or using improvised equipments involving a grip like javelin. You will have to perform it sitting, kneeling, then standing in half squat position, then standing straight stance, one leg forward back, square stance, then on the toes, then in the air, and in a leap. So using these positions, an object is released in the air for further and higher, and such qualities got ballistic throwing capabilities. Ballistic means, so the science of explosion is like bullets and all they manufacture, that's called ballistics, right? So quick force is generated by the body. Before going for ballistics, we should be doing a lot of other ground exercises involving your body weight, involving performing basic gymnastics like cartwheeling and forward roll, backward roll, and if possible forward and backward somersaults, also at least flips or round-ups. These are the basic requirements for a javelin thrower to go for ballistic strength. Even otherwise, if you go with a ballistic strength, you will definitely get your muscles torn either in the shoulders or in the neck or in the lower abdominal region, rectus abdominis, or in sometimes the internal muscles also. You will get a hip injury in iliopsoas, or sometimes you may get some muscle tear internally, also will take time for recover. So preparation is very sensitive, very advanced, and among the throwers, most injury prone event is javelin throw. It is possible, but the equipments are expensive, and the institutional support should be there, good sponsorship should be there, so that it is possible. We can also compete with world class level. Definitely it's possible. Thank you for listening, and ask more details in the comments.